We're here for Tiger Talk with the women's soccer team, conference championship edition. We have junior Leah Rocchetta and senior Grace Koperna. So we're going to start off making the tournament for the second year in a row and playing Denison also for the second year in a row. Is there, and losing last year 1-0, is there kind of a revenge factor to the game tomorrow?
You never really want to use the word revenge in the sense like we're only doing it because we want to get back at them. Like, this is always the goal at the end of the day. Like, you play soccer and you compete at this level to win out. But I think definitely, like, especially being roles reversed, that we're coming in as the 4th seed this year. Like, we just want to take it to their stadium and give it to them and really just prove, like, that we're the better team at the end of the day.
Yeah, and Denison's always, I would say, our biggest competition every year. We always go neck and neck with them. Like, it's a full 90-minute game. Like, can't take your foot off the gas pedal at all. So I think we're really excited for tomorrow, and I think it's going to be a really, really fun game to watch.
And then, so you guys won the last 2 games, kind of what propelled you into your spot in the tournament. What is the importance of winning those 2 in a row, the last 2 games of the season, but also of them both being shutouts?
I think, obviously, like, we needed those 2 wins to secure our spot, and a lot of us, you know, recognized that as the season progressed, and we, you know, had it come down to those, and we're like, you know, kind of that winner go home mentality. Like, I think that was very motivating for a lot of us. And then, like, just stepping on those fields and, like, working our butts off to make sure that, like, we left it out there, because if we didn't, we had nothing to go home to. Like, being able to walk away with shutouts, like, I personally as a defender, like, I think that was really good for us as a whole team, because ultimately, like, Katie's favorite thing to say is, like, Tigers have to hunt in packs. So we are a team that's, like, very committed to, like, when we defend as a group. But just, like, being able to go out and put the pieces together as an entire team, like, securing multiple goals to win those games and not giving up any goals, like, all around the field, like, just feeling really good going into the tournament.
And I think, like, Grace put it perfectly, but additionally, like, we know that we know we've tied all year, and we've had kind of a roller coaster of a season, and, like, we had been harping on in practice, like, we need to win these 2 games. Like, this is a must, and we had the pieces, like she said, and we finally are starting to put the puzzle together.
So last year, being the 1 seed, Denison, who was the 4 seed, came to Wittenberg and won the game 1-0. Obviously, rules are reversed this year. I know we touched on it a little bit earlier. But is it like kind of nothing to lose? Like, obviously, win or go home, but like nothing to lose. It's all going to be out there for tomorrow.
Yeah, I know, like, a lot of people are excited. Like I touched on earlier, like, we do have a point to prove to go out, and like Leah said, they're arguably, like, our biggest competition in conference play. And I think everyone's just super excited. They got a new turf field that we're all excited to go beat them on and say, hey, like, you guys got a new stadium, we're still better than you.
Right. Yeah, and I think, like, Grace even said, like, I think we just have such great team culture, and I know that we all want to play for each other, and I want to play, well, I'm not playing this year, but I know everybody wants to play for the seniors and make sure, like, we go out with a bang this year. Like, obviously we didn't win the conference, but if we can win the tournament, that's the next goal for us, and we definitely want to achieve it. Talked
about this too, but going through the season, collecting what seemed to be tie after tie after tie at the end of September and into October, did it ever hit you like, okay, this is going to be tough, or like, was it hard to keep pushing? And then eventually the ties paid off. Getting 4th by 1 point. So I guess both sides of that, the good in the ties, but also pushing through that.
I think overall, like, soccer can be really frustrating in the fact that, like, we can settle for ties at the end of the day, because ultimately, like, we're all such competitive people on our team, especially. Like, we talk about it all the time, that every day at practice, like, we're so highly competitive. Like, nobody really is happy to go home with a tie, especially when you feel like you deserve to win and you feel like you worked hard enough to deserve to win. But at the same time, to go out and tie some teams that put up a really, really good contest, like we tied Case Western 1-1, like, they're a nationally ranked team. That's a really good opponent. You know, Ohio Wesleyan, they're another team in our conference that it's always a tough battle for us. And, like, for them to go out and play as hard as they can, and for us to go out and do the same, like, at the end of the day, you have to be proud of the work that you put in, and if the result doesn't reflect that, of course, like, it's frustrating, But I think that personally there's like a sense of motivation from that you're like, I know that I'm good enough to do more. And like, I think maybe that contributed to like these games where then like we really did put it away. Like we went and at senior day at Oberlin, we're like, we're not settling after a goal. Like we want to be comfortable.
And now you're in the tournament and you can't tie.
Right.
Exactly.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, like Grace said, like, I think the beauty of ties, it's like, you can have a tie and it still feels like a loss, but you know that you won the game. But it's like, ties are still more motivational than a loss in my book. Like, ties, like, okay, like, we can do this. Like, it's still, there's still fuel in the tank, and like, we can still keep going. A loss is a little bit harder to get yourself out of.
Yeah.
So I think, again, this is something that we do every year. We did it last year. We've done it since I was here as a freshman. It's just, I don't know if it's our style of play. I think it just takes us time to get to where we are at the end, but it's still motivational.
We had that limiting factor this year that we lost that week of non-conference play, so I think that did put us back a little bit, and like we still came out and we found a way to put the pieces together.
I was just about to say, you have that non-conference leading up, but then you have that whole week, and then you came back and jumped right into conference.
Right.
And additionally, with that week loss, like I think we've got a lot of new girls this year who are stepping up to these roles, and like it took time to adjust and to have them come in with players like Grace who have previously played and try to find the, you know, have them gel. But I think it's starting to work. So. Yeah.
All right, Grace, I think this is a big question. this was the one I was most excited to ask about. So one of the top moments of the season, beating Calvin, who was ranked 15th at the time, and you scored your first goal of the season that game with, I think it was like 8 minutes left, somewhere around 10 minutes left. So your first goal of the season and being a game winner that you won, that we won 1-0. Can you just speak about, I don't know, the excitement or what you were feeling in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, we all still laugh about that, like at this point in the season. Like, you know, occasionally we'll put on some of the goals we scored or good moments we've had just to, you know, amp us up a little before we get going into our next game and stuff. And I love when it comes up and like, we all just kind of laugh when it plays because like me personally in that moment, I was kicking that ball and I had two thoughts. I was like, this is either going in the goal and I'm going to be a hero today by some stroke of luck, or this ball is going to go into this like parking lot of Tower and I'm going to get a Katie Robinson. What the heck was that? So I was like, oh my gosh. When I hit that ball, I was like, oh God, like this is not going to go well. And I looked over my shoulder, like I almost missed it because the way my body was angled, like I wasn't facing the goal to see where it went. Like I just struck it. And I mean, when Courtney dropped that ball to me, I said, why are you dropping it to me? But I was like, you know what? After the fact, thank you, Courtney. You are a genius.
And that's the thing, like you have to take those shots outside of the box because you just don't know, and then things happen, and then you beat a nationally ranked team. Like you just have to. So. And
it was so exciting. Like it was a great moment, I think, for the whole team because we battled that entire game. And like I said, like Courtney had the composure and like the vision in that moment that like that ball popped out to her and she was like, I know what I have to do. And like, I think it was just a really cool moment between us two. I think beating Calvin was just like a good step towards like showing everyone that like we earned that preseason poll.
All right, so Leah, being a junior, still having a year left. We've seen the underclassmen play huge roles this season.
Absolutely.
So Sarah Deaton and Caroline Stupp to name the freshmen. Obviously more than that. I think all the freshmen have played this year at some point.
They've all about got in. I think Sarah, Caroline, Emma Rodas. They've been like
got moments in Hiram at least. And,
everyone got in this year, which is great. We love to see it.
Yeah, so both of them are tied for 9th in goals in NCAC play. And then the season that Ava and Lily have had, Ava being top 25 in points, average points per game. And Lily being 4th in shutouts. And saves per game. Just, I mean, from them being freshmen last year to now, does that already build confidence for next season? Obviously, you're not looking ahead that far,
absolutely. I think, like, I mean, even going into this year, we kind of knew our team dynamic was not changing that much. We were like, okay, a majority of the girls who play are still here, still playing. Like, I think this year we've had one of the best teams we've had. And I think these freshmen, I'll start with Sarah and Caroline, they've played great roles this year. They're great on the field, like on and off. And I'm really excited to see what their next 3 years looks like. And then Ava and Lily have, I mean, both of them were great freshman year, and they're still continuing to do it sophomore year, so they have 2 more years. I think they're gonna do great. Lily proves every day in the goal that she is top tier. I mean, she is amazing. But I think going into next year again, I think some of the commits we have coming in are pretty good, but I think, again, our team dynamic's not going to change that much. So I'm really looking forward to next year.
All right, so
Great.
seeing 3 Wittenberg teams make the conference tournament, so you guys, field hockey
Yeah.
and volleyball, also all being women's sports.
Yep.
What's the importance of that to both of you, not just having that many teams from Wittenberg,
Yeah.
but both of them being women's sports?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were just talking about this before, like field hockey, it's been so impressive, like watching their season. I think it's been super exciting. Their team culture looks great, and I'm just so like impressed by how they've done. Same with volleyball, like they've always do fairly well, and I think it was exciting to see that they were kind of like in a similar situation, it appeared like this year as we were, but they still managed to get their foot into the tournament. But just, I guess, being women's sport, it's just encouraging, like it's amazing that we can do this, and
Yeah.
So.
Now, like Leah said, like both of those teams, like just knowing the girls on them,
Yeah.
like the work ethic of the individuals that
Yeah.
are part of those teams, like I just have so much respect for like
Yeah.
everybody really like pouring their heart into this season. Like I feel like none of the teams have had like a attitude of giving up. Like
Right.
we've all been in the same boat, and I think we all found a way, and like that kind of seems to be like the theme of the fall as far
Yeah.
as women's sports go. And I think like because we've got our feet in the door, like there's going to be some runs from these women's teams, and
Absolutely.
I think it's going to be super fun to watch. Like it's always highly competitive, and it's just really fun. Like when we're friends with those girls,
Yeah.
like, just getting to cheer them on and know like personally like that they're great people on and off the field.
And
like,
since all 3 of us, I think, didn't win the actual like conference, like it gives us even more motivation to win
Right.
the tournament.
yeah, coming in
win.
at a lower seed, like
Yeah,
people
it's
aren't
not-
expecting you to perform at that level, and
Right, and I think, sorry, but
No,
like
you're
I
good.
think we had even said this year, like we had a target on our back, and we still
Yeah.
have the target on our back. Like we have something to prove. We showed that last year. Like we have to continue doing that into this year. Yeah.